What's up, nerds? Welcome to episode 20 of the Bandwagon Fan Podcast. Guys, we did it. We made the milestone. Most podcasts don't make it past 20. So this is the last episode, guys.
We did it.
We did it. The finale.
That's it.
One more
It's not the
episode
finale.
we can
Please keep
drink.
listening.
Yeah, seriously. I'm AJ.
I'm Josh.
Oh.
I'm Alex.
Oh.
And I'm Kate.
Oh, we're all here.
We did it.
A
Oh, yeah, I
band
can
is
talk now.
all here. Yeah. We've had some, hiatuses. We hurt Alex's feelings, and in a vow of solidarity, Kate decided not to show up. So we've patched everything up. We're good now. Guys, how's your week been?
I just came from a birthday party for my sister, technically half sister. So my dad's Guatemalan, my stepmom's Mexican. Lots of food. I almost was in a food coma before I came to record.
Dang. That
Sounds like the perfect Sunday.
It was fantastic.
I did
the
yoga
skirt
for the
steak.
first time.
Skirt steak on the grill, and then my stepmom makes this bomb salsa.
Nice.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
You did goat yoga, Alex?
No, no, I did regular yoga in a class
Okay.
for the first time.
Speaking
There
of
were no
goats,
goats
though.
involved.
Speaking
Did you-
of goats, Alex and I tried goat yogurt for the first time this week.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs
That sounds
down. Double
gross.
It
Good to
tasted like you were in the barn and
Some moldy cheese, baby.
yeah.
Yum.
Yikes.
Yoga for Alex.
Trader Joe's lied to us. They said that it would taste like regular yogurt.
Mm-mm.
No.
Wait, hold up.
No.
Alex,
Yogurt.
did you wear yoga pants?
I actually wore sweatpants, but I didn't realize they didn't. It's been hot in LA this past week, like 97 degrees, and they didn't have the air on in that bad boy.
So it was
So
basically free hot yoga.
So
Yeah,
it was
so
musty and
sweatpants and-
farty.
Sweatpants and yoga. Oh,
The yoga wasn't free. The
Nice.
hot was free.
yeah, the hot was free. But,
So it was hot yoga. It was hot goat yoga?
It was hot goat yoga.
Alex was having goat gurt farts.
Probably smelled like goat.
I was actually
God.
stretching in the front, eating goat gurt.
Goat? Is that what they call it? That is a great
No.
branding for goat yogurt. Goat
That's what I call it.
Fun fact, that's what they call Gogurt in Greece.
Goat gurt?
Goat gurt?
Goat Gurt. Yeah,
Why do you
Wait.
even know that?
I totally just made that up.
Oh, I was
like-
like, you had me. I was like, what?
I was like, we're gonna get
Um,
a Greece listener or a Greek listener, and they're going to fight you.
Probably.
Like, that's a lie.
My wife and I went to one of these artesian bars over the weekend, like where it's like a science, like they do like science experiments for your drinks. It was awesome, hands down, the best drinking experience I ever had in my life.
What did you get? What did
So-
you get?
I got this they called it the cereal milk, and it was like they gave it to you in like a glass like milk carton.
What?
And they had house-made cornflakes, and you were supposed to take the alcohol and put it in the cornflakes. It was really good.
That sounds
AJ, you
disgusting.
did not
It was
sell that
so-
to me.
That
No,
sounds like
that
sounds
alcohol
like
puke.
It sounds
divorce.
crazy. It sounds crazy, but it was really, really good. And then
I'm
my wife
thinking of
got
like
this.
the Big Lebowski eating like cornflakes with vodka as his breakfast. Like
No, it was more like a rum milky type of thing.
You're-
And the house-made cornflakes, they were some type of like I don't know, like some type of like wafer thing, and like when it dissolved, it kind of tasted like Cinnamon Toast Crunch alcohol. It was really good though.
You're not selling it for me, but I would try it.
it's
I
like,
mean,
I'm
that's what I
intrigued,
had.
though.
That's why I got it. I didn't know what it was. My wife got this thing. It was like a day at the beach, and it was like this cup with this cup made
Is
out
there
of
sand?
chocolate. Well, there was sand. Yeah, there was like sand you add into it. It was like some type of
Edible
like
sand?
granola mix. Yeah, it was edible. Everything is edible, right? So it's like some type of like granola sand,
Right.
and like the alcohol was like bubbly. It was like foaming. It was really cool. We took pictures. It sounds insane, but I'm telling you right now, it was the best time we ever had.
I feel like this is a very
having
sensory
drinks.
experience, not
It
meant
is.
for words.
Oh, it's. I mean, like the whole place. First of all, it's like in one of the ghettos of Houston, and then like you could drive past this place 1,000 times and never know there's this like almost like speakeasy-esque bar in there, and then
Filled
you go
with
inside.
cereal.
Yeah, well, you go
What?
inside and it's like almost like pitch black. It's like super dark. And like the whole thing is like it was a 10 out of 10 experience. They come up to you, they bring you hot towels to like
What?
wipe your hands and everything.
Yo, I want to go to
Um,
this
Land
place.
into a
telling
plane?
you, I'm telling you guys right now, this place was legit. I know it sounds crazy.
This sounds like a fever dream.
It sounds like a fever dream.
Are you sure it was real?
You're like, they fed us cereal and
yeah, I want to go here, man.
We had these like Jello shots. They were like huge, these huge Jello shots, and they were like covered in like powdered sugar, but it was like really, really good. I don't know how to describe where I went because again, if I showed you, you just think I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, this is where it is, but it was amazing. It was so much fun.
Well, I want to
definitely go again. Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes the weirdest things are like the coolest thing, and
what you guys will learn about me is I will try anything once. So yeah, I'm glad.
Should we take a bandwagon field trip to this?
I'm down.
I mean, of course,
we could do it live in Austin.
You guys come,
Houston.
In Houston.
Yeah, you guys come down, show you guys a good time.
Nice. Sounds like we all had a good week then.
I'm happy. I'm happy to hear everyone's weekend was good. Guys, let's get in it. We're having our first giveaway. I think we brought it up last episode.
Yep, we mentioned it.
We mentioned it last episode, so it's not new if you listen. But basically, we'll be sharing a link. Make sure you just follow all the steps on the link to get your free comic of the month. This month, we are giving away, drumroll,
Nubia and the Amazons, issue 1 by Stephanie Williams.
Boom, boom, boom. So make sure you guys make sure you guys look for that link. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, what happened this week?
So CD Projekt Red, are you guys familiar?
Yeah, they did The Witcher.
Yeah, they did
right?
The Witcher.
The Witcher?
Yes.
It's this really tiny game. It didn't really take off. It was not popular.
Oh, you're talking about the Cyberpunk guys, huh?
They also did Cyberpunk.
Okay,
no, you're thinking of Cyber Witcher.
You're right.
Oh,
half
yes.
Cyber, half Witcher.
So here's the
actually
thing.
Would be kind of cool.
They've talked about using Unreal Engine 5 for The Witcher 4.
As they should.
I don't have too much to say about this other than I hope using this will help them to avoid a repeat of Cyberpunk.
Probably. Cyberpunk, the reality is making your own engine for a game is really hard. It's really, really hard. Most people don't have the forethought to spend the R&D to make a fresh engine. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money to do that. And then once you make one game, you now have to spend more R&D because you can't just use the same engine again, right? You have to update it.
Right.
Things updated, things are upgraded. So it's a process. So
well, even like The Witcher has The Witcher 3 has and had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And it's a big game, and the fourth one's gonna be huge now because of the show.
Yeah.
So I think this is a smart move to use that to make sure it's a good playing experience.
Is there any? I don't know. I know what Unreal Engine 4 is, but I didn't even know there was a fifth one out. Like, what games are on 5 that people would know?
Is anything using 5 yet?
Anything 5 literally just came out.
Oh, it's like brand new.
December. December.
I mean,
so that Matrix demo, I think we talked about it when the live demo for the Matrix. Do you guys remember this at all?
I don't recall.
For the Video Game Awards this past December, they showed this really cool demo for Unreal Engine 5, and it was I guess you could call it like a short film ripped off from the Matrix. It's really, really cool. It's very impressive because it's all done through Unreal 5. So that's the first unveiling of what the engine can do. The whole thing with Unreal, for those who don't know, is it is the most complete packaging for video games next to Unity. So, and Unity is really for mobile games, smaller games. So there really isn't a competitor right now to Unreal. It's Unreal. So that's
Unreal, guys.
It really is though. It really is. The scope of, you'd be surprised how many of your favorite video games use Unreal.
Yeah.
I remember Unreal Tournament.
Well, that's what kind of funded. That's what kind of funded all this. So yeah, Epic Games, they're just rolling in the money, dude. Todd Sweeney, the guy who owns Epic Games, that man is just he's Scrooge McDuck. He's just swimming in his vault of gold coins, man. It's nuts.
Well,
it's crazy.
Good for him, I guess.
Must be.
You know who's not swimming in money right now?
Let me guess. Sony.
The production team, Sony.
Wait, I thought they broke even though. I
they
saw
really?
they made the budget by like $4 million.
Breaking even is not so many money though. That's the thing.
That's true.
Movies
Yeah.
are
That's true.
But for
expensive.
people talking about how big of a flop this was, like it still technically made money. It wasn't
No,
like
that's
it
true.
was
But that's not really a
negative.
success.
But here's
No.
the thing. I haven't heard anyone say anything very good about Morbius. That's what we're
I haven't
talking
heard
about.
anyone. I haven't heard anyone say anything about
I
it.
haven't heard anyone
all.
seen
I
it. I
have.
don't know anyone.
I have had no like inclination to go watch this movie.
I never even heard of
If
Morbius.
someone had paid me, like say we as bandwagon fan podcast we were paid to go watch this, I would decline payment. I would pay Sony to not ask me to watch this movie.
You know what? The only person I've heard talk about it is Jared Leto because he was on a TikTok. It's like this famous
I saw
TikToker where he like this guy cuts people's hair, and
What?
he usually cuts people's hair completely, like completely changes their look. But because Jared Leto was in the middle of filming, all he did was like kind of trimmed
Just
his
like
beard.
snipped it.
And then he was like asking. He always asks like these really like profound life questions, and he's just like awkwardly like asking him questions about Morbius. Like it was clear that his PR team was like, hey, like he's only going to be on here if you can like have a half of the segment be this, while you're
geez.
basically just like touching his facial hair and not doing anything to it.
Weird. Like a little head massage and like very light questions.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was so lame.
You can call me the prophet. I told you guys, Sony is going to F this up tremendously. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, and
They're
well,
going
and
to
that,
F this up.
that leads me like I think they need to stop. Like they
Yes.
just need to fully turn over all of these properties to Marvel and Disney and be like,
How do
please
you make a
use it.
Morbius movie without Blade?
How
does that work?
Who's Morbius?
He
I
was in
didn't
the
know.
Spider-Man 90s cartoon. That's what I
Yeah.
know him from.
I saw one trailer for this movie, and I'm not a big Jared Leto fan, and it also just
Same.
looked cheesy as hell. And I had like vampires in it, and I was just like, I was like not
So
into
the
it.
funny thing is, I'm glad Kate brought that up because the real, I guess, consensus issue that people have with this movie, it's not that it's bad, it's not good. It's the same problem I had with the Venom movies. They just exist. They're just they're just there.
The
There's
Eminem
nothing-
song was pretty good though. They had
Sure,
that.
the first time,
That's true, yeah.
and then they had to then run it back. I mean, it's just they just exist. Like that's the problem with these movies. Like
I
they're
agree.
not good, they're not bad, and I think
They're
that's the
just
worst
there.
type of movie.
There's that
It
lack
is.
of focus because it's like, who is this made for? Is this made for the
Made for my
10-year-old
dad.
who likes to play?
My dad specifically told me that he loved Morbius, and my dad is not the best for
What?
liking movies.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
okay.
feel like these
That
movies
makes
are like
sense, though.
the off-season movies. Like if Marvel movies are like the regular season, these Sony movies are like the
That's
off-season
fair.
The
movies.
dollar
Like,
store, the
I
dollar
think
store.
my dad's just trying to keep up with pop culture, and he probably saw a sign for Morbius. It was like, Morbius, that's what everyone's into.
you
I'm gonna
probably
go
went
watch
on
that.
Tuesday
But
when it's
you-
$5 at the theater.
Yeah,
But Alex brings up a very good point that, like, you know, the movie is meant to appeal to someone like Alex's dad, who isn't entrenched in Marvel lore and isn't entrenched. Like, your dad probably looked at it from like, oh, it's an action like vampire-y movie.
Yeah.
that's exactly what
You
he
know
saw
what I mean?
it as.
Like he
That's
doesn't
such a cute
care.
dad impersonation.
I know.
Oh, an action movie.
Oh, look at that! I'm Alex's dad. I'm gonna go watch a movie. Da, 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 da.
I've got some free time this afternoon.
Mr. Melgosa, don't hate me. I think you're a great guy. You raised a great son. Okay, I just want to let
We'll
you know.
find out if he listens
Yeah.
to the podcast by his reaction to this. This will be a
There you
good
go.
test.
Very telling.
So, needless to say, we probably won't be spotlighting Morbius. I'm guessing,
I mean,
unless
we want to
bloodbath.
take a massive dump on it. Yeah, why not?
Unless if Jared Leto wants to come onto this podcast and
And
talk about
somebody
this.
pays us.
I'm sorry, random
There you
fan.
go.
Is that too pretentious for you? Huh? Yeah, I'm still bitter about that.
what else we got?
Oh, Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer came out today. That was a real shocker.
Yeah, so
Nice.
let me start with this. I ended Kingdom Hearts 3 by inviting my friends over, and we soaked it in gasoline and lit it on fire on my porch
I don't blame you.
and filmed it.
I don't blame
So
you.
how do you feel about this, Alex?
So I feel like if Kingdom Hearts 3 hadn't existed, this would have been like the only game I would have been excited for.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, it's just going to be the same thing. It's going to look really beautiful. It's going to have like great voice acting, and that's it. It's going to have a story that makes absolutely no sense.
No.
Nor does it need to make any sense at this point, because it's not even like, for people who haven't played Kingdom Hearts, this isn't the fourth one to play. You have to play like
There's
500
like 14
side projects.
Yeah.
The mobile games, which I don't even know if are like real games.
Well, the worst part about I almost called it Final Fantasy.
Final Hearts.
It basically is Final Fantasy. But the worst part about Kingdom Hearts is that all the other games that are not like the chronological game, like the side games, quote unquote, they are canon and they hold critical pieces of information that you like. If you don't play or if you don't play Kingdom Hearts 3 and you play like some of the other ones, you're just missing parts of the picture. Like you have to play all of them. Otherwise, the story literally makes no sense.
And they even did in the third one. They even did like a 20-minute like recap, which made it more confusing.
Made it worse. Jeez. Made it so much more.
You even have to play like the Game Boy Advance games. Like you have to go way back.
The recap one had recaps from games I didn't even know existed. I was like, when did this come out? I was like, what? There was a moment in Kingdom Hearts 3, I was like, who is this person? Where did they come from? And why is this person such a critical part of the story? It is mind-boggling. It is insane. It is nuts. I don't get it.
As you can see, AJ and I are both very traumatized by Kingdom Hearts.
I almost gave up. I almost gave up at the end. I'm like,
a good rating though. When you look up Kingdom Hearts 3,
that's the weird thing. I don't know anyone that liked it though.
That's not true. It is a beloved franchise, and the game itself isn't bad. It's a great, fun game.
1 and 2 were great.
I mean, what I love about Kingdom Hearts games is that I love like the way they use like the Disney properties. I think that's just like the coolest thing in my personal opinion. It's just the most fun thing about the games.
Yeah.
I just thought 3 was bad. Very bad.
I didn't think it was bad, but it just like again, it revealed that there were like 7 games I never even knew existed, and they all had like major characters. I mean, I don't want to get into this because we will be here forever, but there is a major character in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm like, who is this person? I had no idea who they are, and I would argue the most important person in the whole game. So I don't know. Jeez, it was tough. It was tough.
So good luck to all you Kingdom Hearts fans out there. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope 4 is great. I hope it makes a lot of sense. I hope Donald doesn't just spam Kira over and over and over and over for all of eternity.
At the end of the trailer, they reveal. I think it was Hades, right? Alex?
I think
it's Hades.
That's what I thought it was.
That Donald and Goofy are looking for. My theory is that you can use the villains of each of the IPs now as like heroes. That's my theory.
It's probably going to be one of the villains from the Toy Story level of the third one, where you're like in that little mini game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which I think is a final. That's where it's confusing, because now it's like it's a Final Fantasy character within a Disney game, within a Final Fantasy game of a character that's not real.
We will never do Kingdom Hearts.
Ever. I will never explain Kingdom Hearts to anyone. You could go look up 400,000 hours of YouTube videos on that.
So crazy, dude.
Let's close the door on that one and open another. Do you guys know there was another Doctor Strange trailer?
Yeah, kind of. I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either.
How many just release the movie?
Yeah. You don't want to watch too many, because then you take away some of the surprise.
That's how I am.
Yes, and like that's one of my huge qualms with Disney is their trailers full of spoilers. It's like I don't want to know. It's like the whole idea of like they have to spoon feed the audience plot points to like, have you interested, and like. I'm going to sound really pretentious saying this, but that's part of my issue with the Disney formula is it's so like, it's like processed and sugar coated. It's like, just let us enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about it.
They really want people to go watch it.
I already know I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people already saw the trailer at the end of the Spider-Man No Way Home
movie. I totally forgot to thank you, Kate.
You were kind of forced to watch it.
Insane. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, what is this doing here?
Yeah,
That's
usually
weird.
they do
Weird.
fun little snippets. There's usually like one or two
Some
at
type
the
of like
end of every Marvel movie.
callback or something.
Yeah, there's always something
Yeah.
like that. And then they just did a trailer, and I was like, you guys didn't have the energy because they did the one scene of I think Doctor Strange at a bar or somebody at a bar, right? Venom at a bar?
Isn't that every ending?
Venom. It was
movie?
Venom
Tom
at a
Hardy.
bar.
It was Tom
But
Hardy.
then they did a few more credits, and then my friends and I were waiting for like the next, because we're like, there's gonna be another one, there's gonna be another one, and then it was just a Doctor Strange trailer, and it was such a letdown.
I know.
So lazy.
We stayed late for that. Oh,
Yeah.
so disappointing.
So disappointing.
You know what I'm hoping isn't going to be disappointing?
What's that?
Is I don't even know if I'm saying this name right. Megalopolis. Have any of you heard of this?
Negative.
Is this the really old movie from 1919 or something like that? Like
Probably. The description sounds like it is. But this just seems so crazy to me that like I just saw this casually like come up in the news today, and it wasn't even on any like major news sites. It was on like Screen Rant, which pretty much only does movie related stuff. But Francis Ford Coppola is directing a film again, and I'm just like, how is this like going behind the scenes?
What year is this?
This is this year. It's supposed to come. It's supposed to film this year.
That's crazy.
And there's rumors.
With you. I didn't know he was still alive.
He's alive. He's in his 90s, and
he announced I think Best Picture at the Oscars. He came out on stage with Al Pacino and some other legacy actor, and they
was
read
this
something.
Before or after the slapping?
This was post the slap.
Yeah,
so
post slap.
Yeah,
so no one remembers.
Yeah, no one remembers this. Yeah,
Alex,
but they
didn't
even.
The original movie was that they're kind of spinning this off of.
I didn't actually know that it was based off of a.
Oh, I thought you said that this was like a remake of something.
Well, that's
I was asking. I would have to find it. I never heard of this. This is the first time I'm hearing.
I didn't see any information on it, but it's supposed to be a Roman epic set in a fictional utopian New York City, and there's rumors that Christian Bale is taking the lead. And the talk is that Christian Bale's in discussion on whether he wants to do it, and I'm like, bro, you got to jump on this. Like, you don't have much time to film this.
Yeah, right.
He's like 91 years old.
I didn't know he was still alive.
Also,
That's
if Francis asks you to film or like to be in his movie, you just do it. I don't feel like you have 100%. A say.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he even asked. I just feel like
Christian Bale, he's a busy guy.
So an interesting note about this is that apparently Francis Ford had this written back in the 80s. He actually got it greenlit in September of 2001 when they were ready to get the film, and their production had shut down because the film was supposed to be based in New York. So that's one of the reasons why this movie never was made prior.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I feel like if he's got if he's ready to film something again, like let's go, like let's do it, and let's get Christian Bale on there. Let's just get Christian Bale on everything.
I love Christian Bale, so I will watch anything that he is in.
Well, hold your breath on this one. So I need you guys to look at this one.
Okay.
Christian Bale is playing Gore the God Butcher for Thor, the next Thor movie, and they released a toy of his character. And it gives us a better look at what the character is going to look like. Gore the God Butcher is very scary in the comics. He is this.
What
dude.
Is this?
Yeah. Okay. So he's this dude.
He looks like
get your reaction.
He looks like Death from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But more emo.
AJ's reaction. Yep.
Oh no!
Oh, he looks like face fell off of his face.
He looks like Powder meets Jedi. If you know what Powder is, the movie. This is wild.
So if you're unfamiliar, if you're listening, you're unfamiliar. Look up Gore the God Butcher, and then look up the Gore the God Butcher Christian Bale. Wow. They're different to say the least. Does this character look intimidating?
It looks hilarious, to be honest with you.
Because in the comics, this guy literally goes around the galaxy killing gods. Like he is killing all these gods, and then eventually he comes for Asgard and those gods. Like he's a scary dude.
Well, he looks funny to me in this.
He looks like an
this
albino lizard.
This character design is questionable.
So, the only thing I'm going to say is that often the toys just end up they don't always capture the look. I'm gonna hold off for the movie for this movie's defense.
That's where I'm at too. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm like I said, I think it's questionable, but I don't know what the finished product and the movie's going to look like. Plus, Christian Bale is very talented, so I don't know.
This looks
wild.
I
describe to our listeners what I think he looks like based on pictures?
Please, yes.
Please.
I think he looks like an albino lizard that is jacked up and wearing a Speedo, and he has a sword for an arm.
Oh my gosh.
I hope that everyone can craft their own vision.
I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. Thanks for that vision.
The toy it makes him look like a sickly patient.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's interesting.
He looks like a sick monk, like a monk who's just near the end of his life. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Last thing, real quick. Are you guys watching Star Trek Picard?
Negative.
Absolutely not.
I'm watching this dumpster fire. It's pretty bad. I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't too fond of season 1. It was okay. Season 2 is really bad. And the internet agrees. And I guess CBS is so afraid people will stop watching the show. They just straight up released the trailer teaser for season 3 in the middle of season 2. It is the most insane thing I have never seen this before. Yes, they released a teaser trailer for Star Trek Picard season 3 when season 2 is not over. There's still half the season left. It is hilarious.
But why?
What's the incentive to keep watching then? Like, you know what's going to happen.
We can talk about this another time. Maybe we could talk about this because there's a lot going on at Paramount. But long story short, they spent a lot of money on Star Trek. They spent a lot of money on Halo, and the reception, the public reception, is not what they hoped it to be. You know, they were expecting these to be their marquee platform selling shows, and they're having a hard time. So I just never seen this before. I've never seen a trailer for the following season in the middle.
Does it spoil things that you didn't even know were happening yet?
Yes.
Oh, see,
here's the problem. They introduce, and we can move on, but they introduced the whole cast for season 3, which is the old cast from the old show.
I heard about this, yeah.
From the old show. So there's really only one of two implications that it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone's rewatching the show. Either Picard can't fix the current timeline, or Q sends him to another alternate timeline. That's the only two really alternatives that can come out because they showed this trailer. So everyone's just like, okay, well, that sucks.
I wonder if the ratings were going down, and then they were like, wait, we have this really cool thing planned for next year, and we already are working on it.
Desperation, baby.
100%, content. Yes, 100%.
Because no one's playing Star Trek Online anymore either, so they gotta get that name back out there.
I mean, they did that and showed the trailer for a new Star Trek show at the same time. It's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess. But hey, I'm here for it.
All right, let's take a little stroll over to Marvel then. Marvel, they're doing their thing and they do it well.
Usually.
Just a quick reminder that we will be talking about the Moon Knight TV series, the Disney Plus series, once it concludes. So don't worry, we are going to talk about it. Are any of you watching it though? Alex?
I've watched the first episode. Is the second one out already?
Yes. Yeah. They release on Wednesdays, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I watched the first episode and I liked it more than I thought it would. It kind of reminded me a little Stranger Things vibe.
Cool. Because the reason I'm going to be talking about Moon Knight issue 10, the current series, and just to let people know what we could potentially see in the future for Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac isn't signed on to do more movies, so it's up in the air if he will reprise this role or not. So who knows where this is all going to go.
I have a question about it, Josh. Is it like the series is coming out only a few weeks at a time before what's happening in the show, or do you think are they kind of coming out at the same time?
I believe Moon Knight is a monthly publication, maybe bi-monthly, but I think it's monthly.
It's once a month,
right?
Okay.
And
issue 10 came out last week.
Okay, and it's not related to the show.
Oh, okay,
totally it's a complete standalone story, because I was actually surprised because I'm also reading the Moon Knight comic, and when I watched this first episode, I was like, oh, this is its own thing. This is very, very different from what I'm currently reading.
What's interesting is that in the second episode, they do kind of open that door to kind of insinuate that there could be multiple Moon Knights. Moon Knight is more an idea than a person. So I can see that what Josh is saying, that like whatever this issue 10 is could lead into whatever, like it's a possible storyline.
And there's the whole multiverse, so like the possibilities are endless.
Welcome to the world of comics, where when people don't know what to write, they just add a multiverse, so then they can
just throw
cover
that
up whatever they screwed up.
It's like, where are you from? Earth 7? Perfect. Throw them in there, baby. That's
all right. So Moon Knight issue 10. Moon Knight was in jail. There's an event called Devil's Reign that I'm not reading, so I guess he's out of jail now. This one starts off where he's talking to his therapist. And I mentioned previously how Moon Knight took on the Avengers by himself and defeated them all. And like after that, part of the reason he like didn't go to jail for the rest of his life was he went to therapy, because therapy is good for you. And he's talking to his therapist, and it kind of goes back and forth between like the present and the past. This guy named Rutherford Winter, awesome name, I guess he comes to the Midnight Mission with a gun, and it's on site for him. He just starts attacking Moon Knight. And so Moon Knight's kind of retelling the story to his therapist, Dr. Sternman, and he's telling her what's happening, and her response is that Winter, he's a wild dog. Like he's crazy, which is funny she says that, because Moon Knight in the previous issue called himself a wild dog back in issue 9 when he was in jail. And Sternman says how Winter he's a broken experiment. Like he was experimented on, created to be like this perfect human weapon, and it broke him. Like he's an unstable, crazy, dangerous person. And so Winter comes to the Midnight Mission, and he's looking for Dr. Sternman. He says, "Give me back my doctor. Like you took my doctor." And it turns out that Sternman was a former patient, Winter was a former patient of Sternman. And then he tells Moon Knight, like, I want to get better. Like, I know I'm not okay, but I want to get better. And so it's kind of going back and forth. And again, Sternman says how Winter's a lost cause. She's trying to discredit him, basically like just discounting anything that Winter told Moon Knight. And then Moon Knight, he's just sitting there, and he says out of nowhere, he goes, "If she's dead, I'm going to hurt you beyond comprehension." And then it flashes back to when Moon Knight is fighting Winter, and Winter tells
that was
Moon
such
Knight,
a creepy scene, by the way. Like,
yeah,
when I had to reread that panel, I was like, did I just read that correctly? Or
the tension in this whole part, that part was it's up there.
Yeah, I wish you could see it too. Like the way it was illustrated was very, very intimidating.
Very. And Winter tells Moon Knight that's not Sternman. And so Moon Knight kind of insinuates, like, you're not who you say you are. Again, Moon Knight is in therapy because he basically tried to take over the world with Khonshu. And he does have DID, so he has trouble sometimes with like reality and like doing the right thing because of like what he thinks is better for everybody else. And so she tells Moon Knight, you're having an episode. Like, you need to calm down. And like Alex, like you were saying, like the tension in this scene, like, it's very comfortable.
You can see the fear in her face. Like, she looks terrified of him, and I hadn't seen that in any of the previous issues yet.
Yeah, and if you read issue 9, you know Moon Knight is very dangerous and very scary. It turns out that the reason he went to jail was because he allowed himself to get arrested because he wanted to look for an inmate. And this one inmate, big scary dude, everyone's afraid of him. He has a kid, and he wants to when he gets out of jail, he's going to take the kid away from the mother. And so the mother went to the Midnight Mission, and Moon Knight's whole thing is, I help people. So this woman comes to him for help, and Moon Knight allowed himself to get arrested so he can go to prison to tell this guy back off. The guy wasn't going to back off, and so Moon Knight says, you're never going to see them again, which kind of makes you think he's going to kill him. Doesn't kill him. He literally gouges out this guy's eyes so that he can't see his family again.
Dang,
and take the kid away. So like having this in the back of your mind, like Moon Knight is threatening his therapist. Like, this is scary.
I feel like that would be an end to relations right there.
Right? It's like, you need to leave now. But
I mean, it worked for that. Kind of actually reminds me of like a Tony Soprano type situation. Right?
I was going to say the same thing.
He threatens his therapist every 5 minutes.
That's the whole Evan vibe of Sopranos.
Does the therapist stay to be like, dang, you really need help? Like,
well, right. the therapist is at least in Sopranos, she's always conflicted because she feels like she's like, I know what he does and I know why he does it, and he's not a good person. He just wants to use me to tell himself he is as like as a way to justify his actions. However, she's like, from a moral perspective, I feel like if I don't try to help him, he's only going to do something worse. So that's throughout the show Sopranos, like that's her motive, right? That's why that's it. That's why she thinks that if she has the opportunity to help him in any way, she can save one person's life.
That's a definite similarity I saw here.
Yeah.
Well, then there's a little plot twist. It turns out this actually isn't his therapist. It's somebody called Waxman, who's basically Clayface from Batman. And Waxman is like this. He looks like wax, and he can like shapeshift. What? And so he's taken over the form of Moon Knight's therapist.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking that like a really good, I don't want to say, I guess villain, like a really good main villain for Moon Knight would be someone he didn't realize was his therapist. That would be one of the, I think, interesting, I guess, villains, because the villain knows Moon Knight on an incredibly intimate level.
Yeah.
And almost like a puppet master type of thing to be able. I mean, think about that violation as a patient.
Oh, dude,
you know what I'm saying? Like I think that would be a really good villain.
Which I think is a cool idea for Moon Knight, but I feel like when I saw Waxman, I was like, this is kind of lame. I was like, this is the best villain you could come up with, like with revealing the identity and like wanting to like fight Moon Knight. I'm like, I'm Waxman. I'm off-brand Clayface. Watch out! I'm gonna burn you with my candle wax.
That's what I was saying. He looked cool, but it was just the name. I was like, come on, Marvel, come on. Yeah. So Moon Knight tosses some liquid nitrogen grenades at him and like flash freezes the dude. And then it switches over to. It turns out he put Waxman into this steel sphere and like welded all the same shut, so the dude's trapped in here
and he instantly loses the fight. Like it's like 3 seconds.
Well, he's made out of wax.
I kind of feel bad for him, to be honest.
The resistance here.
What do you do with your life? Like think of it from his perspective. If you're Waxman, like
museum,
you can't like really get a job outside of like Ripley's, believe it or not.
No, open a wax museum. That is his one purpose.
But like, what if candle franchise?
Oh yeah,
or that.
Bath and Body Works, baby.
Don't feel too bad for him. Turns out Waxman is a serial killer and he enjoys killing women. So, don't feel too bad for him.
Moon Knight saying his life could have went a different way.
It could have been if he wasn't a sociopath or psychopath. Yeah, could have been different. But he likes killing people. Moon Knight has him in this little sphere, has a walkie-talkie. He goes, hey, tell me what I want to know and I'll let you go. So he's like, if you don't tell me, I'm going to pour concrete over you and you're going to become part of the foundation of a new expensive apartment building. And he says you will have experienced death by gentrification, which I thought that was a great line.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Waxman spills his guts, tells Moon Knight what he wants to know.
You mean spills his wax?
Oh,
got him.
He breaks the seal. I don't know. Anyways,
that's a good one.
He tells Moon Knight what he wants to know, and the Moon Knight's response is he tosses the walkie-talkie into the pit. Well, he talks to him. He goes, "Thanks for telling me," and he releases the concrete. And Waxman's like, "Hey, I told you what you wanted to know." Moon Knight says, "Yeah, it hurts to be lied to, doesn't it?"
Dang, got him.
And then covers him in concrete.
Got him.
Yep. So this is a little glimpse into the darkness of Moon Knight, and yeah, I'm curious to see like how dark Disney's willing to go with their version of this.
Probably not that dark.
No.
Based on the first 2 episodes, I'm like, oh, they're really like they're tight roping. Like, you guys saw that documentary of that? I think it's like a Frenchman who like tight roped across like I think the Twin Towers.
Everything.
Maybe?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's what Disney's doing with Moon Knight. They're just like, guys, look, he's a mercenary. You can't see it. You can't see the mercenary stuff, but just know he killed a lot of people. It's pretty hilarious.
He's a bad man.
No,
here's a joke.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I'm going to finish the show or not, but I will. I will read the comics, even though Waxman was super lame, and I thought this issue was the worst one so far.
Waxman.
I liked it for there were some good quips, and then the whole idea of like just remembering Moon Knight does not play.
It's true. He does not play. I was gonna try to do like a playing with fire pun, but with wax. But I think I'm out of wax puns again.
You missed it, dude. You whiffed
I know. That's all right.
But what you got for us, AJ?
So I told you I try to watch the Oscar movies. So this was a weird year for Oscar movies because normally Oscar movies, they don't reference movies that came out in like January. Then you had movies like Dune or like Coda came out, I think, earlier last year. So you had some of these movies that came out basically throughout the whole year. For those who don't know, when they reference Oscar season, that's usually the months after the summer blockbusters. So anywhere between September and January or December, really. So that's when you'll see. Yeah. So that's why you see all these like, Oscar bait movies during those time periods.
Right.
Because they're trying to be the most relevant Oscar film on people's minds. So this was a weird year because you had so many movies that went throughout the whole year. And so there were just a lot that I didn't even hear of until Oscar season. So with that said, the first one I watched was West Side Story. I've never seen the play. All I know about West Side Story, for those who watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's like Larry David's favorite play. He uses a lot of the music from West Side Story in his show.
Also a great show, but he makes a lot of references to West Side Story. He loves musicals. So I was interested in seeing this.
And had you seen the original?
Never. I knew. Nothing. I went into this blind. Okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought everyone has at least seen it once.
I didn't watch it for a long. I watched the old version for the first time only last year because I
went into this. I had no idea what this movie was about.
See, I thought everyone was forced to watch it in middle school or elementary school.
No, I was. Not me.
I had to watch it in like 6th grade.
I'm excited for this, AJ.
Yeah, let's go.
I was very conflicted. Confession time. I'm not a huge Steven Spielberg fan.
Really?
Not a huge Steven Spielberg fan. Okay. I think outside of Jaws, I don't really love Steven Spielberg's movies.
Not even Jurassic Park?
No. I don't love Jurassic Park. I think so here's the reason why. Steven Spielberg's movies, they're always these spectacles, right? They're always these I put him and James Cameron in this category of film directors. Like they're like, I need to push the genre in a new direction, and they do it every time, right? So like with Jaws, who would have thought a shark would be a thriller, right? Like something that you can't even see be a thriller. Like you just didn't really equate. There wasn't really horror movies that took place in broad daylight, right? So like with Jurassic Park, I mean, literally recreating dinosaurs. I mean, that just wasn't a thing. So like that's what he's known for. And I feel like this was another example of just like from a technical perspective, from a costume design perspective, from a cinematography perspective, this movie is visually incredible. Just like it's very interesting to watch. And I personally enjoyed each individual scene because I felt like something that happens in these plays or musicals turned movies is that so much of the movie can feel a little monotonous, because it's like when you're watching it from a stage, right? Like you're seeing basically kind of one backdrop or similar backdrops, and I felt like Steven Spielberg did an incredible job, just like making you feel like you were watching an old school New York. Like that's probably the first thing I could probably say that was.
He's really good at world building.
World building was just at a 10 here. I mean, like from fighting in a quarry. I mean, like the scene where they're fighting in the salt warehouse. I mean, just like the stark differences, right? He does these like cool little things where like where they're fighting is always these dirty places, but then like when they are posturing, it's always in these like places with like a lot of color, like the streets or like the school. It is like that's a movie from like a technical standpoint that I think will be studied for a long time. Steven Spielberg just does so many cool things with just I think this was like a newer movie filmed. It must have been filmed with like a newer camera.
I was wondering about that.
The frame rate on this movie was like really high. I was like very jarring. I'm like, whoa, what is happening here? So without even looking that up, I have to assume that they used some type of high def film quality. I mean, it was very lifelike. It was very vibrant. In terms of the story, I didn't realize this was Romeo and Juliet. So if you haven't watched this, it's Romeo and Juliet. So that, I mean, there's not really much to say. It's about a Polish dude who falls in love with a Puerto Rican lady, and their individual gangs. They're like, no mas, we don't like this, and so they the movie is. I mean, there's not much to say. It's Romeo and Juliet.
Is it set in modern day, or did they go do like 1950s again?
It's the 50s. It's still the 50s.
57, I think.
50 something. Yeah.
So 50, I watched.
No. Yeah. You're right.
I believe that's the same era as the original.
Yeah, because I watched the first like 50 minutes. I didn't know you were going to cover this initially, and Wendy and I have talked about watching this for a while, and we just never got around to it. So this morning I watched like the first. This is a long movie. First 15 minutes.
Long. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes.
But I liked what I saw so far.
I will say it only felt about 20 minutes too long, which is very impressive for a 3-hour movie. Just to put it out there.
Especially for a musical.
For a musical, yes. There was like 2 scenes that I felt like either they could have tightened it up, especially near the end. Really, there's a moment. So to explain the story as quickly as I can. Our main character, I can't remember their names, so I'm just gonna call him Romeo. Tony, yes, thank you. Tony has just come back from prison, juvie. He is part of a gang called, I believe, the
Jets.
The Jets. Yes, the Jets. And he's trying to live a new reformed life. He's trying to move on. He's working at a convenience store under like a Puerto Rican shop owner, instead of being back with the gang, with the boys. The boys, they're always starting to conflict. This is a time where New York is going through one of its, I guess you could call it like gentrification, where like these poor neighborhoods are being torn down and these new high rises are being built. And so the Jets, who are always warring with do you remember the name of the Puerto Rican?
I think it's the Sharks.
The Sharks, I think. Yeah.
That's the one I always remember.
Yeah.
The Sharks, baby.
They're warring with the Sharks for territory. The Sharks are the Puerto Rican gang. Yeah, exactly. The snapping down the alley. The Sharks are the Puerto Rican gang. They're like, this is America. This is our land too. And the Jets, aka the white gang, they're like, no, this is white America. They try not to touch on the racial thing from
no, I thought they did, and I thought they did a good job.
I was gonna say they try not to. Let's just say they present both perspectives. I think that's probably a really nice way to say it. Right, the Jets are coming from this point of view that like if we don't stand up for ourselves, then we won't have a claim to America. And then the Sharks are coming from a point of view it's like we need to stand up for ourselves because we're the minority, right? And if we don't, no one else will. So it's presenting two different sides. I don't really feel like it did like the tribalism thing because at the end of the day, the story is about the love and that we're not that different. That's kind of the theme, right? We're not that different. So Tony falls in love with the sister of I guess you can call it the gang leader of the Sharks. Her name is Maria, and they meet. It's love at first sight, but it's also on site. You see that?
Yep.
Because when the Sharks see Tony, they're like, "Hey, man, what you doing?" And so like they start fighting, they start beefing, and they're both sides are using this as an excuse to basically have the Rumble. The Rumble is like the final countdown, the last fight, and winner takes this area. Which thematically, I thought it was hilarious because it's like, well, it's being torn down, so like, what are you fighting over? Whatever.
Which is, I mean, it's true to life though. Like people, minorities especially, fight over territories, and then the powers that be. It doesn't matter like if you're white or not. Like the people of power are going to push you out to gentrify a neighborhood, anyways.
It's interesting though. Like I live in New York, and now in New York, I think the gang wars and like turf wars that were happening in that time in the 50s, 60s, those have all been like settled now because now in like present day New York, the lines have been drawn. Like there doesn't need for these turf wars anymore because it's like kind of already it's history. It's like nope, that's the Puerto Ricans and this is the Jamaicans and this is like the different areas. Dominicans. So
and that's a good point, right? That's because at the end of the day there wasn't a winner, right? Because that wasn't the point. There wasn't a winner in this bout. So Tony and Maria, they're professing their love, and essentially Tony is at this conflict because he's like, I need to stand with the people who always been there for me, but at the same time I've left that life behind me and I want to build a new life with Maria, right? So like the Jets represent the life that he knows and Maria represents the life that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
The Rumble happens. Tony tries to go there to stop the Rumble.
The classic Rumble. The
classic Rumble. Things get out of hand. Tony's best friend, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his
Riff. Yeah, Tony's best. Tony's best.
I was gonna say something generic like Junior. I'm like, Junior sounds good.
All the gang names are like Skip, Skid Mark. I don't know. Like they all give them dumb.
Hershey Streak.
Like they just give them random names that just equate to dirt. But anyways, Riff, he gets stabbed by Maria's older brother, and in a fit of rage, Tony stabs the brother. Now, pretty awkward.
Right.
What's up? I'm sorry?
Bernardo? His name's Bernardo?
Yes. So, like, pretty awkward to stab the brother of your paramour.
I
can say being married for a couple of years, top 10 things not to do. Don't kill your loved ones. So, he's on the lam now, and he's got to go. He goes to Maria. Maria's like, it's all good. I didn't really like my brother anyways. Kind of weird. They do it. They consummate their love. And then Tony's like, all right, run away with me. Maria's older sister, who was
Anita?
Yes, Anita was Bernardo's fiance with a question mark. They never really make it.
Yeah,
they don't make it clear that. I mean, she wanted to be married, and she considered herself Bernardo's wife.
Bernardo.
I don't know how to say it.
No. It's a made-up name either.
I'm pretty sure it's Bernardo.
It's Bernardo.
B.
Bernardo.
How about this?
Bernardo.
Bernie.
Bernie.
Let's do Bernie. I love Bernie.
Bernie.
Yeah, so old Bernie boy's in the grave, and Anita's like, oh, it's on site. And then she sees Tony in the house leaving out the window, and she puts it together that like Tony and Maria, they were together. She flips out. Maria's like, I love him. I'm going to go run away with him. Can you just tell him I'll meet him somewhere? Anita goes to the location. And by the way, in this part of the movie, I just find it hilarious that everybody can find Tony except the police. Really weird. I don't really get that, but whatever. Anita finds where Tony is. The jets are there. Awkward scene. They try to rape her. That was uncalled for.
Okay.
They very awkward. So in her anger, she tells them to tell Tony that Maria's dead. Romeo and Juliet. So Tony, in a fit of rage, is looking for death in the form of one of the other members of the Sharks who also love Maria. It's not important. And before he finds this guy, he sees Maria. Maria sees him, but it's too late. One of the Shark members shoots him in the back. Tony dies. And that's how the movie ends.
Nice.
It was Romeo and Juliet. It's not going to blow your mind, but it was very interesting to watch. I'm trying to think how to rate this.
It's probably hard to rate it too if you haven't seen the original.
Yeah, it's hard to rate it. If I had to go with my gut, I would give it a 3 out of 5, 3 stars out of 5.
I mean, it sounds similar to the original story.
I don't think he even needs to ever watch the first one because it sounds exactly the same.
It seems it's Romeo and Juliet. You can't. How many times? Once I put it together that it was Romeo and Juliet, I'm like, I know how this is gonna end. So
I know the first time I watched it, I was kind of shocked that they did end up killing him. I thought there was going to be a happy ending. So I remember being shocked that Tony dies, but Maria doesn't die because in Romeo and Juliet, they both
die. Yes. Yeah. But I also thought that the happy ending would have been she's pregnant, and I thought that's what they were gonna insinuate, that here's a new America that literally symbolizes. I mean, I guess
that would be a great ending. AJ, you should have been consulted.
You should have been consulted in 1951.
Guys, I'm the GOAT. Okay, I mean, I know this already, right?
I'm that's a great ending because then it's we're merging the gangs. We're no more fighting. Look, there's
no more fight. Exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit of them. It's a little bit of us. But none of that commentary was really made.
Well, I think there's an issue with remakes too. Is Spielberg probably didn't get a whole lot of leeway to rewrite anything. I'm sure with these kinds of stories, you have to kind of stick to the script.
Could potentially kill you and hate you for that.
Casting was different. Casting was a lot more.
Yeah, casting was.
I was telling Wendy this. I feel like there was an attractiveness budget, and they spent all of it on the Puerto Ricans.
They did. They definitely did. I made the same. I made the same comment. I'm like,
expand.
Okay,
so they were hot.
Okay, all the Puerto Rican people are incredibly beautiful people. Okay?
The men and the women.
All the white people, with the exception of Baby Driver, I can't remember his name.
Ansel
yes, thank you. Ansel, with the exception of Ansel,
they were there.
They're just plain. They're just plain looking
people. Their races as they are without this movie.
Not at all. There are beautiful people of all colors, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I felt they just didn't give as much effort. When you watch the movie, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, wow. All the Puerto Rican people, they're they look amazing. Even the background people, and then all the white people, they're just there. They're just it's very weird. I made the same comment, especially during the dance scene.
Now I have to look at some images
because Riff's character is an important character in the movie. Mm-hmm. I didn't really feel and this is not to take away from the actual actor. He did a great job. I think what people don't ever equate is that this type of filmmaking is different from the filmmaking of old, right? Back in the 50s, part of being an actor meant that you had to sing, dance, and act. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That was the requirement. You couldn't be an actor if you couldn't dance and sing. So I feel one of the things about this movie that I was very impressed with is all these people could dance. Even Baby Driver. Even Baby Driver could dance. I was surprised because that man is huge. He's a tall man. Yes, he is. Okay, he's a tall man. I was like, this is a limber giant. So I thought that was cool. So the actor who played Riff did a great job. I just didn't feel like he matched that tone in terms of stature as terms of the leader. And maybe that was the point, right? Maybe that's why they got Ansel to be Tony because he literally is like twice his size. But I just thought that was a weird dynamic. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like a movie you could probably watch once and enjoy. I don't know if you would ever watch this movie again, but if you're interested, I think it's definitely worth the watch. Yeah.
Good analysis.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of worth the watch, we're gonna go into another Academy Award, but this is a little blast to the past.
Okay.
So this film turns 20 next year, and the soundtrack just re-released for like the first time, I think, in like 10 years. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I had to every single record store in LA was sold out. It was sold out online. Couldn't find it anywhere except for eBay. I called and researched for like 5 hours and found a record store in Baltimore that had one copy that was going for the listing price. That kind of shows like how precious the music of this film is, and that is Lost in Translation. Any of you seen this film?
Nope.
I just showed Kate for the first time.
I always wanted to watch it. I have never seen it though.
Okay.
I just watched it for the first time too. Like Alex showed it to me this weekend, and same thing. It's always been on my list, but I don't know. Never. Well, towards the end, I was waiting because Alex told me to wait to watch it with him. But it was interesting.
It's a very interesting movie. It's very different. It's for being the film that it is. Like, I was pretty surprised. Like, so this was during the 76th Academy Award. It actually won Best Original Screenplay, and the backstory of it is just kind of bizarre. It's Francis Ford's daughter, who is the director, Sofia Coppola, which I did not realize that we were going to be talking about the whole family today, but I think it kind of comes full circle. We're
just missing Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we're just missing Nicolas Cage, which maybe we can throw in next week. But this is definitely my top films. It's just like one of those movies I can watch, and then like the second it's done, I could just rewatch it. So I want to go into this with you guys like knowing like this is a huge film for me, and some of like the things I want to talk about are like such a reason why I love it, especially as someone who loves photography so much. It's so unique, and it's like I feel like a time capsule. So like what's cool with this is like Sophia had only had like a couple of films directed at this point, and I feel like, you know, her dad was obviously like a very big thing to like be compared to. It's like, oh, like what are her films going to look like? Are they just going to look like, you know, The Godfather Jr. or whatever else was coming out? And I feel like she did a really good job of like doing her own thing, but this film was mostly spent on her budget and then like a bunch of like little investors, basically, so she could have like full control over the project. And it's on a very, very, very small budget. So like most major films are like what, $30 million plus to film. We should actually figure out how much Morbius cost to make. It was probably like 80 million or something ridiculous. This is a $4 million budget. This is very, very small. And she like wrote the entire script wanting Bill Murray, but had no contact to Bill Murray, had no supposedly no connections, even though with her dad, I'm sure she knew somebody that had connections to him. But she made the whole script, planned the whole thing, spent over a year trying to write and call and get a hold of Bill Murray with no response. And then finally does like one meetup, and he just acknowledges, basically just like, yeah, sure, I'm just going to do the film, but like doesn't do a written agreement or anything. What? And she only had like one chance to make this film. So she went to Tokyo, started the pre-production with still no connection, no contact to Bill Murray, no idea if he's going to show up. He showed up days before the film, just like casual, you know, like, hey, I'm ready. Like, I'm in Tokyo. What? Like, let's go. So it's very bizarre. Tons and tons of dialogue was improvised. This film was only shot in 27 days, which is very, very short. It was running gun style. Too. Yeah, you say short movie?
Yeah. It's under 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 45 minutes, something like that. But it's just like the filmmaking that happened and like the behind the scenes process. It just kind of like blows my mind that this was like even a thing. Like most of the scenes that were so like the majority of this film is shot in a hotel, because basically there's two characters. It's Charlotte and Bob Harris. So Bob Harris is Bill Murray's character, and he's like a fading movie star. Was really popular in the United States, like 20 plus years back, and now like
Bill Murray.
Yeah, so Bill Murray, like literally, in a way, like literally Bill Murray, because what at this time, like he was just starting his like Wes Anderson movies.
It's funny. I thought this movie was a Wes Anderson movie, by the way.
No, but it's around the same time that the Wes Anderson movies were shot.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, this is 2003. So it actually is kind of like a weird, accurate look to like Bill Murray's actual career at that point. But he's like basically this fading movie star, and he's sent to Tokyo to specifically be filmed for an advertisement for a popular to this day Japanese whiskey called Suntory whiskey, which I'm not sure if any of you have ever had before.
I've never had it, but I've heard of it.
Now that I'm talking about it, I swear, like any bar you go to, you're gonna like see it on like a top shelf somewhere.
And the promo for it is, "It's always time for Suntory time."
Yeah, it's always time for Suntory time.
Jeez,
it's
so pretentious.
It's kind of, yeah, it is kind of pretentious, but it's kind of cool. So he's like, just in this hotel room, like days on end, like basically just doing the production and then coming back to his hotel room. He's spending like his days just by himself. And he's with like a whole crew of Japanese folks that are mostly speaking in Japanese, and then he just has a translator. And then Charlotte's character, who is Scarlett Johansson, she's like a recent graduate of Yale, and her husband is a famous like celebrity photographer. So he's sent to Japan, and she's kind of just like riding along. So most of the shots of this movie are just both of these characters, as you can go from the title, lost in translation, like literally just like wandering the streets of Tokyo or their hotel, and kind of just like being overwhelmed by the fact that like they're not really here for like reasons that they want to be. They like don't really understand the language. This is 2003, so it's not like you can just hop on Instagram and start sharing your story. Like this is like what, maybe MySpace was like just out at this point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know. Like maybe MySpace had just dropped. I'm not even sure. But it's kind of like almost pre-social media. It was a different world back then,
yeah.
They don't really have cell phones even in this movie at all. Like you never see a cell phone, and which I kind of like that. And Alex and I talked about how cool the characters truly are just walking around, and there's no Google Maps, there's no suggestions. It's literally just old-fashioned, hey, you're a tourist in this town, just wander the streets.
Which I think adds, like, I feel like, not that the movie would be bad if it came out now, but I feel like for 2003 it just fits so well, because like there is truly like this disconnect of, like they can't just like now you could just go on WhatsApp and then not have to deal with like international minutes, and you can get a hold of people pretty easily. Yeah. And I feel like this film does really, really well at like kind of capturing like the melancholy of both of these characters. Like Charlotte's husband is kind of always off doing his own thing and like dealing with like the popularity of being like this really talented photographer, and I feel like he's so focused in his world that he kind of just like forgets about her. And then like Bob Harris, like his wife is back in the US like with his kids, and like she like sometimes calls in for like 10 minutes, and their dialogue is very just kind of straight, and it's sometimes like 3 a.m. when he gets the calls. So like I thought this was like a cool introduction to like the world of these characters. But it's even more bizarre after like you see more behind the scenes. So like all of the hotel room shots like were filmed with a permit, but because like Sophia wanted the budget to be so like tight and low that she filmed most of the public shots illegally. There was no permit. They just basically run and gunned Bill Murray in the middle of the streets of Tokyo. She like even shot with like a tiny crew because she was like trying to avoid the police showing up.
That's amazing.
And it's shot on film.
She wanted the thrill.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's shot on film. So like that's a whole other ball field of like having to prep the film. Like you are shooting all in natural light, so like you have to get all of these things shot perfectly, and then also like hope that like Bill Murray remembers his lines. Scarlett Johansson like almost had no roles at this point. She had like Ghost World and then like one movie when she was a kid, and she didn't even audition for the film. Like literally, the film was offered. She was offered the role without an audition, so she just like got thrown into the film. It's just like, how often do you see that with a movie? Like almost never.
What an experience, though.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like what makes this film just feel so precious and special to me. It's just, I think it's a movie that just would not be able to be recreated because of like everything that happened before. Like, I feel like if this movie was planned so perfect with the pre-production, it wouldn't have felt as like authentic. And I just love the fact that like they have like this energy of like, we're rolling the dialogue, but we're also like in the middle of Tokyo and we could get arrested possibly, you know, for like doing these shots.
I do want to just, it's funny you bring this up because this is truly the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. Because this is if you know anything about Francis Ford Coppola, this is exactly the type of thing that he does. Most infamously, the filming of Apocalypse with
Apocalypse Now.
Brando, right? Apocalypse Now, yes,
yeah.
Marlon Brando, and was a logistic nightmare. When I tell you that this man just went to Vietnam when he wasn't supposed to with a camera crew. So Tropic Thunder actually is a parody of the filming of Apocalypse Now, if you didn't know.
That's amazing.
So like father, like daughter. It seems like she was just like, I'm just going to go to Tokyo with a camera. We'll see what happens. See what kind of magic we can make.
So clearly runs in the family, and she takes inspiration from her father.
It runs in the family. For them. I actually haven't seen Apocalypse Now, but I
haven't seen Apocalypse Now either.
Let's just say this: lightning does not typically strike twice. Lightning. Let's just say Francis Ford Coppola was like, I guess I can do anything, and grew a god complex, and that's how we get Godfather 3.
But you know what?
That's another conversation for
you know what? Godfather 3 got us lost in translation.
That's true.
Maybe things fall together because Sophia was in that film.
She was in that. She played Maria.
But it's it's just like I love the whole run and gun feel. The music is beautiful. It's a short film. There's not like this really, really convoluted story. Like, honestly, don't want to talk too much about it because like I just want.
It's very emotional.
Like if you're interested, yeah, it's a super emotional film. I want you to just like kind of jump into it. But one of the themes I did want to discuss with it is so I want to mention Sophia's the way she described the film first. She described it in one sentence, which was things being disconnected and looking for moments of connection, which I really feel is pretty accurate. I feel like this is a movie where none of these characters would interact with each other the way they do if they were in an environment that they were used to. For instance, like being back home in Los Angeles. I think this movie, because they're in a city in a different country that's really big and really loud, and they don't know the language, and they don't have like their friends or their team with them, I think it like forces these characters to interact in a really unique way, which like makes it feel really special. So like I thought this film captured the essence of loneliness, being in an environment you're not familiar with. I don't think either of these characters would have had the same connection if they would have met back home. So that's what kind of felt really special to me. This soundtrack was so like mind blown to me that like I'd still listen to this when I like want to relax to this day. And it also like introduced me to some cool bands like Phoenix, if anyone's ever listened to them. Like I think Phoenix kind of got their start from this.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's not for everyone, but I definitely like encourage checking it out.
It's super indie and I think worth checking out. I agree.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
This is like the queen of indie.
It sounds like that's the aesthetic she was going for. She wanted it to feel indie because like when the downside of when you have like a big budget is that you're forced to use it. So then you're forced to overproduce. Cough, cough, M. Night Shyamalan knows exactly what that life is like.
Yeah.
Because when you're given a bigger budget than you do, let's just say more conventional things. So I feel like with this movie, she forced herself to challenge herself, I should say, to do more unconventional things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think she knew that going in. And I think, again, I just think if it would have been done any other way, it wouldn't have hit the same. Like I was telling Kate, like after we had finished it, one thing I love with this movie compared to a lot of films now is like, first of all, film, if done right, you can make film look however you want. You can make it look as real as you want. And like the fact that it's all natural lighting and a lot of it's improv, I felt like I was a part of the film. Like I felt like I was in this world with these characters. Like when they go to a club, I felt like I was there. I watch a lot of like Disney movies now, and they're just so like crystal clean and so perfect. Like there's no like technical errors to anything, and I feel just so like detached from it. And that just bothers me. I think what I'm trying to say is I'm stuck in 2003 and I
think what you're saying is that like the way it's filmed is it allows you to buy into the narrative, because you're seeing it's this layer of realism that you can relate to, right? Mm-hmm. I always compare to what you just said about Marvel movies to the horribly directed Fantastic, the Fantastic Four movie, where 2/3 of the movie took place in a military bunker. And so the movie is just people in a bunker, and it just you just lose all sense of like awareness of like what's happening in this movie that's supposed to be about world ending, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think in this movie it sounds that you're able to relate to the story because it's filmed in a way that you have like a familiarity with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. The shots, and half the shots are like in a hotel, and you really do feel like you're confined to that hotel. Like you kind of feel like a sense of you feel a little overwhelmed. And when you see like the shots in Tokyo or like in restaurants and clubs, like you feel like you're there, and it's a very special film.
Cinematography matters.
Yeah, cinematography matters. That's what I've got to say with that.
Sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I think that's it for the podcast today. Like,
I think that's all we got for now.
Yeah, right. Like, we got anything else going?
You know what? To the top. Let's start over. Let's go, guys.
Yeah.
What's
all right.
Nerds?
So what's up, nerds? No,
I think that's it from you.
That's it. Kate, any final words?
Watch Lost in Translation and watch at least one version of West Side Story. That's what I gotta say.
Whoa!
Pick your version.
and either read or watch Moon Knight. So hey, there's so many formats. Pick one. Everybody pick a format. And
you got a lot of options.
Except with Lost in Translation, you literally only have one option.
That's true.
That's it. Or you can just listen to the soundtrack. Be really hipster and be like, I don't watch the films.
Goodness.
I just listen.
I didn't even know it was a movie. I just listened to the music.
Yeah, be like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. We had some good stuff. Like, thanks for listening, everyone. Like, don't forget, like, we got our contest. We got a lot of cool things coming up that we are being a little secretive about right now. But, rate, review, subscribe, do what you can. Listen to us mainly on Spotify, because I don't think anyone else listens anywhere else.
YouTube.
And, oh my gosh, yeah, we do have a YouTube following, and keep commenting on there. Keep talking to Josh on the interwebs. That's all I got to say. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bandwagon is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Melgosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by yours truly. Our theme song is Lush Waves by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.